That's part of our future. We know for sure. So I haven't even had a chance to talk to Flat Earth Dave since he was on last month. Dave, we are promoting a coin, a Texit coin, Dave. So maybe when we're off air, I'll talk to you more about it. But we're heavy into Texit coin, Dave. So we're joining. We're getting caught up to where you're at. You know, you've offered the Bitcoin for anybody that can do a globe Earth proof when you come on the air. So maybe we'll have to work out something with Texit coin, Dave.
Okay.
Are you deep into cryptos at all besides Bitcoin, Dave?
I am. Are you talking about the Texan token?
Yes, Texit coin. Yes, we are. We're bringing people into. You can buy mining shares and mine the coins. You can buy hash so that you can get a deposit into your Texit account every day. And then if the coin price goes up, obviously it builds the price of your account.
Do you know the person that's behind that coin? It might be.
Yes.
Do you know who the
Bobby Gray? Bobby Gray.
Okay, I'm thinking of a different coin. No, I didn't know about it. I'd love to hear about it. Yeah. No, I'm into all different kinds of cryptos, and one of my favorites is Monero. You guys are familiar with Monero?
Vaguely. We're new in the space. I've seen it, so yeah. I know about it.
So Monero is a privacy coin, and once your money is in Monero, there's no way to track it. Did you guys hear about there was some sort of heist? Some hackers got like 3,000 Bitcoins from wherever, I don't know if they stole it from bad guys or good guys, but what they immediately started to do was sell it all into Monero. And they hit it so hard that Monero doubled in price. Now, I'm not saying this is a good thing or a bad thing, but why would somebody do that? And it's because it is a true privacy coin.
Texit coin is being mined exclusively in Texas and Texas only. It's gated inside the borders of Texas, and the only way to mine it is to buy shares. And it's Bobby Gray's got it. We'll have to talk to you about it, Dave, because I know it's you're a big fan.
I'm interested. No, I'm totally interested. Yes,
Joe.
So anyway, Dave, we're sitting here and we're discussing what we've been seeing playing out. Today, a judge said, "Hey, you can't do the tariffs the way you're doing them," and then everyone got all excited, and then they realized, oh, wait a minute, they're just going to work their way around it. But some people are saying, after seeing ocean currents on a flat Earth map, it really got me leaning that way. What I don't understand, and my question is, how do solar flares and a Carrington event work in a flat Earth scenario? Thank you. I love the conversation.
I'm not an expert on the Carrington event, but the sun that we see in the sky is right where we see it. The sun is in an apparent position. Now, what do you mean in an apparent position? If you and I were standing at the beach, maybe 100 yards apart or 20 feet apart, and the sun was setting, we're going to do it after the break.
Yeah, we got the first break coming up. Flat Earth Dave is our guest today. Get those texts and those calls. We are live streaming at Rumble. Remember, guys, we are newly live streaming on Rumble.
We're back here, the half-empty cup, Joe and Jason, and we're joined with Flat Earth Dave today. Always great having him with us, and we had a texter, talking about ocean currents, and that got him leaning to the flat Earth model, and then was wondering, solar flares, the Carrington effect, and how that would play out in a flat Earth scenario.
I'm going to try to explain it as simple as possible. The sun in the flat Earth model is electric. We live in an electromagnetic world. We are electromagnetic beings. Everything that happens has an electromagnetic correlation to it. So the sun is here within our system versus the heliocentric sun, which is 93 million miles away, and it violates what's called natural law. Gas always expands into the available space. If I said, hey, Joe, come over for a barbecue, but I need you to bring some propane, but I don't like containers, just bring the propane by itself. You couldn't do it because it needs a container. So we live in a contained system, a pressurized system, and the sun that we see is within that system. Solar panels work because the sun is sending electricity directly to the panels, and the panels are just collecting it. But scientists don't know how solar panels work because they don't know that the sun is electric. They think it's sending photons that are billions of years old, that were born in the middle of the sun and travel 93 million miles here and crash into a solar panel and create an electric current. That's why they can't figure it out. So the Carrington event could have been caused by the sun. It could have been a directed energy weapon. I don't know. I wasn't there. But it certainly isn't coming from an object that defies natural law. Ocean currents, on the other hand, we live in a toroidal field. If anyone knows, look up toroid if you know what I'm talking about. And we live on this plane in the field. And so if you add a current to the outside of the field and to the center, a positive and a negative, you'll get counter-rotating currents, going clockwise closer to the center and counterclockwise closer to the outside. And that perfectly explains the currents that we see. Lot to take in there. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, and so like one of the questions will be, well, how come the toilets flush and it circles in one direction in America, and it goes the opposite direction in Australia?
That's actual myth. I have a toilet. I had two toilets in my former house that one spun one way, one spun the other. It just has to do with the way the water is going into the bowl. So you can call up a dozen people in Australia, and maybe they'll all say it spins one way because they're getting their toilet from the same manufacturer, but they spin different directions. That has nothing to do with its position on Earth.
So when my sink has a lot of water in it and I spin it left, it'll spin left, and if I spin it right, it'll spin right, just how I decide to direct the water.
Yeah, it depends. Like if you fill up your sink with the you plug the drain and you put the spout just slightly to the left of the drain, and then unplug the drain, the water is going to have a bias already. It's going to spin one way. Then do it the other way, fill it the other way, and it's going to spin the other way.
So, I guess that kind of that defeats the idea of the South Pole, North Pole kind of directing those water flows, I guess.
Even if the Earth was a globe spinning, why would water spin? It's supposedly because of Coriolis effect. Neil deGrasse Tyson said that it was a football game that the field goal happened because the Earth was spinning and it went a quarter of an inch and it bounced in. But airplanes and balloons don't have to deal with Coriolis.
I remember
snipers.
I remember watching the thing you're talking. Neil deGrasse Tyson was saying that the record field goal was affected by the rotation of the Earth, and that he wouldn't have made the field goal that bounced off if it wasn't for the rotation of the Earth. That's what he was literally saying was, well, he wouldn't have made that field goal without the Earth rotating, Joe.
So people claim that snipers, calculate Coriolis. About 2 years ago, the world record was done over 4 miles, and I think the bullet was in the air for like 27 seconds, and one of our guys contacted the sniper, and he said he factored in heat, wind, everything, but he did not factor in Coriolis. So that's interesting. But even the ones that claim that they factor in Coriolis for a bullet flying through the air, but balloons, if you're in a balloon, that doesn't factor in Coriolis. So here's the question I have for you. If the sniper was on the balloon, would he have to factor in Coriolis?
I'm guessing not.
Things that make your mind go hum.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. Well, it made my mind do something. I'll just say that. Yeah.
Joe, you were going to add something else. You were going to another. Is it another text or?
No, do I? I got to get there. Yes. Oh, I do. Okay. If the ocean currents got you thinking, you should take a look at the wind speed maps on flat Earth.
Yes.
Makes all the squiggly lines into circles crazy.
Perfect circles, correct. And the outer winds go in one direction and the inner winds go in another direction, which explains how flights can make these really long trips, like from Santiago, Chile to Australia or New Zealand. That's really far on a flat Earth map. But the actual airliner, the Dreamliner, it has 7 layers of heat-resistant paint on it, which means it already goes faster than they're telling us. And so let's say it went 700 miles an hour, get into a jet stream of 250 miles an hour, 300 miles an hour. It's now going 1,000 miles an hour, and the times work out perfectly on a flat Earth.
And so what Dave is talking about in the textures, if you look at the jet stream on a globe map, the jet stream does all this squiggly, back and forth stuff. It
goes up and down. It's a big sine wave, but you put it on a flat Earth map, it's a perfect circle.
Yeah, you look at a flat Earth
Weird,
map, the jet stream makes all the sense in the world because it's, there is a polar north, right? So there is a polar north, Dave, on a flat Earth map. It is the North Pole. It's the center
pole. It's the center point on a circle. So if you had a circle, a pizza, the Earth is not a pizza floating in space, but if you put a magnet at the center, that is your center, and your compass will always point towards that. So if you try to go east and west, you're going to make a circle around that center. If you try to go south, south is every direction away from the center. So all of those pizza slices, they all go from the center south towards the crust.
Right. So if you have a compass,
in all directions.
If you have a compass, which always points to north, and people thinking it's a globe, it's gonna point to the same north on a flat Earth map. It works the same.
Yep. So on the globe and on the flat Earth, south is every direction away from the center. It's a straight line, except on the globe, it's a curved straight line. East and west are circles around the center. Let's say the Earth is a globe and you're a mile from the North Pole and you want to go west. You hold your compass out. You're going to make a circle 6.28 miles going right around, and you're going to end up right back where you started from. Same thing on a flat Earth.
Dave, we got a caller. I want to get this in. If you guys want to call in, this should be a fun couple hours. 877-536-1360. Please call or text, anything, just questions, or if you have doubts, anything about observations of how this world works or how we were told it works, and then just throw it at Dave, and he can explain how it works on a flat Earth map. The first caller, and you could call or you can text. You can also go to, I didn't get a chance to do it, rumble.com. You can go to rumble.com and go to the Half Empty Cup of Joe. We are live streaming. We don't have Dave's we have Dave's picture. We just don't have his live picture because our audio video won't match up for him. But you can go to rumble.com, Half Empty Cup of Joe, and stream live. Brian, thanks for being our first caller. You're up, man. Go ahead.
Okay, Dave, riddle me this. I can go someplace, I can go in a straight line 10,000 kilometers and then stop and turn right 90 degrees and walk another 10,000 kilometers. Okay?
Yep. Heard this before. Go ahead.
Okay. So
So you're going to say you end up, it makes a triangle, and that only works on a ball. Well, it only works in theory if you start from the North Pole. It doesn't work on a ball if you start
You can do it anywhere. You can start.
Yeah. Have you done it? Have you done it?
No.
Okay, it doesn't work. If you go, hold on. If you go into
that it doesn't work.
Holy moly!
He's doing it. He's doing it, Brian. Listen. Just listen to him.
If you go to the largest city in the world that has a square grid, layout, you can go take those 4 right-hand turns, and you get right back to where you started from. In theory, if the Earth was a globe, what you're saying would be true, but it's not. It only works if you start on the North Pole. It's been gone over many, many times, but you're making an empty claim because you've never done it.
It doesn't. It's not dependent on being on the North Pole. You can do
it
anywhere.
Is. No, you can't.
Prove to me that it.
Go to New York City and take 4 right-hand turns, and you end up right back where you were.
Small distance. I'm talking about a larger distance. 10,000 kilometers.
Go do it. Go do it. 10,000 kilometers. You're not on a ball. And the thing is, how are you going to measure? Are you going east? Hold on. Listen to me. Hold on. I have a question for you. If you go east, are you traveling east for 10,000 kilometers, or are you traveling straight for 10,000 kilometers?
Traveling east.
You're going to say you go south 10,000 kilometers, then you take a right-hand turn, and you travel west 10,000 kilometers, you take a right-hand turn, you travel north 10,000 kilometers, and you're back to where you started from. So when you took that right-hand turn and going west, are you going in a straight line?
Yeah, you're following a great circle path.
Okay, but you're going in a straight line. You're not turning right
you know
or
what
left.
A great circle path is, right?
I understand everything that you're talking about. Are you going right or left when you head west, or are you going straight?
It's a hard question to answer.
Turn right.
Yeah. So there is no straight. There is no west straight unless you're on the equator in theory. Right? You have to turn to the right to maintain your heading of west.
What do you mean there's no straight unless you're on the equator?
Yeah, go get a globe and try to go west. Now, west would be equidistant from the center pole, but you can't go equidistant unless you keep turning to the right. You don't even realize that because you've never tested this.
You're not turning to the right.
Go get a globe, tie a string to the North Pole, and put yourself out and try to make a straight line without turning to the right, because you have to turn to the right to maintain a heading of west.
No,
if you go straight, you're going to hit the south. You're going to go south.
Does that make sense, Brian?
You've never done it. You've never done it, Brian.
So, Brian, if you're going, it makes sense to me. You take that string on the North Pole, you go straight south. If you want to go west,
it's not dependent upon being on the North Pole.
I'm pointing out to you that west is not a straight line. So your theory, your right-hand theory, is not following a straight line. You're not making a straight line. You're making a curved line, like an ice cream cone. You're going dead south, which is straight. You're going ice cream cone curved to the right, and then you're going north, which is another straight line.
If you're going far enough, yes, it's a curved line. It's a great circle path.
No, it's not. I'm not talking about your three-dimensional surface that doesn't.
Yes,
I understand. Okay. In your theory, it is a great circle. You have to let me finish the sentence when I'm talking. So when you're going west, you have to turn to the right. Ships captains will admit this. The Navy captains, we have military people. It's absolutely true. Go test it out. Whether it's a mile or 10,000 miles, you have to turn to the right.
Done?
I'm done.
Okay. Now explain to me why ships, like if I took a cruise a couple of years ago from New York to England, and there's a map in the cabin that shows the path, the ship's progress during the trip. Now, why is that ship following a curved path?
Because it's showing you a curved path on a curved Earth. Put your origin and destination.
No. It's showing me a curved path on a flat surface.
Yeah, it's showing you a flat surface of a globe. It's not showing you a flat Earth map, which will show a straight line. If you leave New York, it'll curve up over Greenland, and it'll curve over to the UK. But if you go on a flat Earth map, a straight line touches those same points.
Shortest distance.
Flat Earth map shows the same things as a straight line.
We're going to hit this break. Brian, I highly suggest, Brian, that you just look at a flat Earth map and try to, so that way you can translate what Dave's telling you, even if you don't believe in it.
We're all living in America, America, it's wonderful. We're all living in America, America, America. We're all living in America. Coca-Cola, sometimes war. We're all living in America, America, America.
All right, we're back here, the half-empty cup. Joe and Jason, along with our buddy Dave here. A bunch of texters texting in. One of the texters wanted to ask Dave if airplanes have to account for the Earth's rotation or curvature. What does the edge of a flat Earth map look like? Arguing with idiot again is pointless. He won't listen. Brian's not an idiot, but he is. He has his mind made up on things, and it's going to be hard to convince him otherwise. And then somebody else wanted to know, Dave, what is the sun?
Let me just say, for those of you that are starting to scratch their head going, what's this Flat Earth about? Check out my website, flatearthdave.com. Tons of free content there. I have an app. It's called the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app, which has a frequently asked questions page. And on that is circumnavigation, which has great videos that are all being hidden by Google that will show exactly what we're talking about. And if anyone that wants to learn, you can learn there really easily. All right, so back to your thing. We'll start with what is the sun? God, if I know. But what I can tell you what it's not is if I had a box of helium and hydrogen, well, if I had it in a balloon, it would go up defying gravity. But if I had it in a room that had no air, it would immediately escape to the room as soon as I made a hole in that box. But in space, for some reason, helium and hydrogen condenses into a gravitational ball that burns for billions of years. Our sun burns 640 billion tons of helium and hydrogen every single day for billions of years, and it never gets smaller. Its gravity can hold on to Pluto, but for some reason, it ignores our moon when our moon comes around the Earth towards the sun or goes around the Earth away from the sun. Kind of the moon should speed up and slow down, wouldn't you think, if it could hold on to Pluto? The sun, whatever it is not what they're telling us. It's a light. I think it's more spiritual than physical, but I couldn't tell you. I can't make any claims other than it's a light.
And that's the thing about Flat Earth, Dave, is that a lot of it is saying, I don't know what this is. But I think the reason that people go to Flat Earth is because the globe Earth model is provably wrong, and that's where I'm at. It's been proven to me that the globe Earth model is provably wrong. I haven't gone 100% Flat Earth because I stay very staunchly in the position of I don't know until I get into some ship and I go way up in the air and I can see the thing for myself, or I seriously study it, Dave.
I'm with you 100%. And the thing is, you can use science to disprove things. It's hard to use science to prove things, and we can prove that helium and hydrogen can't exist in a space vacuum. It violates natural law. What were the other two questions, Joe? Where's the edge? Or
let me go back. Let me go back to them here. So, if airplanes have to account for the Earth's rotation or curvature.
So I was just speaking with two pilots from major airlines, literally just before the show, that I talk to all the time. They calculate their rate of descent based on a flat Earth, because and it works. Like, hey, I'm 125 miles out. I got to drop X number of feet per minute or per mile to get to the airport. But on a curved Earth, they'd be 2 miles too high if they did that calculation from 125 miles out. But they're not. And the question is, if a plane took off from, let's say, northern Alaska, where it's spinning very slowly, it only has to make a 1,000 miles around or whatever the circle around the North Pole is, so it's moving very slowly as far as the spin of the Earth. It flies to Ecuador and it wants to land on a runway that's north-south facing. That runway's moving sideways at over 1,000 miles an hour. How does that plane possibly land on that runway? Unless, of course, the Earth is stationary and level. Airplane.
And Dave, in the airplane, it has these instruments, and the one that shows the plane has to stay level to a flat surface. Yep. And the interesting thing about that is I've heard people talk about Flat Earth. Well, if there's a curvature, you have to point the nose down. But the fact that they have an instrument that says you have to stay level, I mean, if you stay level, if you literally stay level on a ball, you would just fly right off the surface then.
You'd fly right off into space. You would, within an hour, you'd be over 80,000 feet high at 500 miles an hour if you didn't adjust for curvature. But the airplanes fly straight and level with the nose up about 3 degrees. How does it account for curvature? Gyros, which is the attitude indicator, hold rigidity in space regardless of gravity. So if you went halfway around the Earth, the gyro would now be pointing upwards. It would be pointing in the wrong direction because the plane has gone nose down 90 degrees, and it just wouldn't work. Gyros prove flat Earth. Go ahead.
Dave, we got another caller. We want more callers. Once again, you can go to live stream us at Rumble at the Half Empty Cup of Joe and live stream this, and you can put comments into the live stream if you want. But we got callers, and we want you to call in and ask questions and give us comments. 877-536-1360. Justin, thanks for calling in. You're up.
Yeah, hey, how's it going, Dave? So my question is more so about, like, I'm kind of on board with a lot of this. You know, my favorite topics are always the level water and the airplane stuff. So that really interests me. But what kind of I get caught up on is, like, is everyone in on it, or who's in on it? You know, you start off and you're like, oh, my gosh, well, you know, all these pilots or all these NASA people must be completely in the know on this. But, you know, from my experience, I've talked to pilots when I fly now, and you ask them some of these, you know, specific questions about curvature and about rotation, and they really give you that deer in the headlights sort of look. And I'm thinking to myself, all right, well, this guy's off the hook. This guy's off the – none of these people are really in on it. Dave, it's like, is that your experience? Does it seem like there's very few people that are even thinking about this from day to day? Does it even come up?
That is one of the Glober claims. Are all the pilots in on it? The pilots that I'm talking to, they were globe earthers for most of their career until they started looking in it. And, you know, the story that one of them, a good friend of mine, he sent his other captain a video, the 5-hour video on the lost history of flat Earth. The guy watched it and is now asking questions. He's fully on board, and he's like, how did I not see it? How did I not see it? That's what they end up saying. So they don't have to be in on it. You know, they just push what they were taught. If you don't know it, you're lost. So yeah, so they're not in it. Teachers are not in on it.
Let me jump in, Dave. So Dave, Justin, the saying that fits here very well is, it's easier to fool someone than it is to prove to someone they've been fooled. Once you put into a mindset, and this, right. I mean, look, they have diapers with globe Earths on it. Every single media company, Universal Studios, they all have globe Earths. You have movies that have nothing to do with space, and they're giving you globes. It's everywhere. And then so the question becomes, why do this? And I got a series of shows I'm going to be putting on the Sunday afternoon schedule, and it becomes very clear that there's a controlling element of this planet we're on, and they don't want us to know the truth about things. Control is in the illusion of reality, which is what we're living in, Dave. Justin, I don't know if that makes sense to you.
Yep.
Yeah, it totally does. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Excellent.
Thanks, Justin.
We got Flat Earth Dave with us, 877-536-1360. Give us a call. Give us a text.
Stop it.
We're on Rumble. We're live streaming, guys. We'll be right back.
Back here, Joe and Jason, Flat Earth Dave joining us. And Dave, one of the questions coming in on the text line, what does the edge of the flat Earth map look like? So that's one of the things, right? So when people think it's flat, like, well, why wouldn't you, do you drive off the edge, right? What does the edge look like?
You know, if the Earth was flat, wouldn't cats have pushed everything off the edge by now?
It's a good question, though, right, Dave? It's a good question. Everyone sees water falling off the edge. They see all these ridiculous pictures of a disc, and the Earth is spilling off.
Yeah. So think about a big lake in Kansas. Let's say we have a lake that's 100 miles across, big circular lake. What's holding that water in? The land. The shoreline of that lake is higher than the lake, so that's holding the land in. So if you're out in that lake, and let's say there's an island in the middle, and it's a big magnetic island, you're halfway out, you can't see the shore, you can't see the island because it's too far away. It feels like you're in the middle of the ocean. Your compass points to the middle of that lake. You go east or west, you're going to go right around, equidistant from the shoreline and from the center, end up right where you want. But if you head south, which is any direction away from the center of that lake, you'll end up at the shoreline. Do you fall off the lake? No. Can you step up onto the land? Sure. You step up on the land, you start walking away from the lake. After a couple miles, you're not even going to be able to see the lake anymore. What's out there? And the answer is, we don't know, because the whole world, all of the countries in the world agree that you're not allowed to go out there. And not that even if they allowed you, it's crazy. It's cold. It's dark. It's dangerous. I don't even know how far you'd be able to get. So we don't know what's out there. Maybe there's nothing out there, or maybe there's other lakes.
We got a couple of callers. I want to ask more about, maybe ask about Admiral Byrd. We covered a little bit of Admiral Byrd on the show a couple of weeks ago, Dave. But let's get the callers in and then get them on the air. 877-536-1360. I'll have Joe check the text here in a minute. Rick, thanks for calling in. You're up, man.
Hey, Dave. So after the last time you were on, I got your app, and I find it to be a pretty cool thing. So, but let me ask you a question about it, Dave. Because for one thing, I find it fairly janky to navigate. But so when I bought it, I got two apps, and one of them is Astrofuture. Is that yours?
No.
No, so that just loaded in with the other one. So I can delete that one. I couldn't figure out how that related to you. It's a weird one. Yours just says FE Clock. Is that what your app is called?
No, it's called the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. If you just search Blue Water Bay or go to my website, flatearthdave.com, that's how you find the app.
Okay. Well, I went to the App Store and just bought it, and but it says FE Clock as a title. Well, but
I don't know if they shortened it. Does it have a video of the day in the lower left corner?
Yeah.
So if you're looking at it today, what is the title of that thumbnail?
I forget. I looked at it earlier, but I don't know. It says video of the day, and then it has a bunch of buttons on the right side that you can push. Yep, that's my app. That's
it. And if you long press any of those buttons, it'll tell you what the button does to teach you how to get around the jankiness of it.
Right. Okay. And after I got it, after you were on, I went to the My Lunch Break guy, and you can't get many of his videos for free, but
they're all free. They're all free on YouTube. They're all free on YouTube.
No, you've got
100% free.
You got to pay him to get a subscription. But here's the deal:
not true.
They're free on your web. They're free on your app, so that's cool. Whatever.
No, my app just links to the YouTube. That's all.
Yeah. Well, anyway, they have you've got that on there. But Dave, I'm still learning how to navigate your app. Like I said, I'm not too good at those things, but it's a lot of fun. But Dave, so what I wanted to get was your take on the recent news revelation. I think it came out around March of the SARS images of Giza. I'm sure you've looked into that by now, right?
The images of the Pyramid of Giza.
The SARS, yeah, from a SARS space satellite. The image. Oh,
you mean the ground penetrating radar? What's underneath it?
Yeah. Have you looked? Because a bunch of news just came out around March on that. Have you looked into that at all?
I have, and I again, it's a lot of hearsay and stuff, but I think that there's a lot of stuff underground. They very well might be true. The one thing that made me doubt it less was when Azahi Hawass, or whatever his name is, as soon as he said it was fake, then I was like, it's probably real. So that guy, basically anything out of his mouth is a lie, and it is very interesting. I have the full understanding that the buildings of our past, not just these pyramids and all of the other thousands and thousands of pyramids across the earth, are energy generators of some sort. They're some sort of resonance generators from what we call churches today to these basilicas all over the earth. There was an incredible infrastructure here, from the giant bells and whatever. On the app, on the Old World page, there's tons of information about that.
False histories, right, Dave? We have histories that we can't trust.
All of our history is a lie. All of it. Like Lewis and Clark crossing the Mississippi to find a trade route to the west. You know that Chicago, San Francisco were fully built out then? Fully. Right? They were massive, Dave, incredible cities.
Dave, before we get farther into this, let's keep the callers rolling, because we know we could just go deep into false histories. We may just move further into that. But the callers are coming in. We want to get those guys on the air. 877-536-1360. We've got Vinny B, and then we got Mike. You can call in. You'll be behind Mike. Vinny B, thanks for calling in. You're up.
Oh, thanks, man. I just wanted to call, not so much a question, but to thank you guys for having Dave on. I think it's amazing the work he's been doing for years. To me, this is like the biggest conspiracy. It's such a huge conspiracy. Like you guys were saying with the diapers and globes, I mean, they promote so hard to push this, and it's clearly to make us all feel insignificant. They make it like we're like this, evolved monkey on a ball in this vast universe, and it's really like soul crushing. It's to crush people and make them feel insignificant. And the work Dave's done, he's the best flat earther. He's been taking on everyone. So I'm really excited you guys have him on. And I just wanted to show my love for Dave, man. Dave, you're a great guy. And,
Appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, keep up the great work, man.
All right,
Thanks.
we're going to hit another break. We got Flat Earth Dave with us for one more segment this hour, and the next. We'll be back. Howdy.
Yes, I told him to remember that, because that's another damning fact. Will you listen? When it comes to a street near you, no amount of evidence will ever persuade an idiot. No amount of evidence, it seems. No amount of showing you 100 or 1,000 proofs will ever get your blinded eyes to see. Oh, no amount of evidence will ever persuade an idiot. No amount of evidence, it seems. How quickly with your condemnation without real investigation sounds like ignorance to me.
We're back here. Joe and Jason, Flat Earth Dave is our guest. 877-536-1360. That's kind of a loaded question from a texter here, and it's, you know, I think it's a good one, right? Why do the powers in charge want us peasants to believe that the earth is round? What is the motive? I want to add to that too, Dave. Was there a problem with the flat earth model that led some people to say, well, wait a minute, it's got to be this other model because here's what's wrong with the flat earth model?
So all of the ancient cultures knew the earth was flat, and it wasn't until recent that they switched it to the globe model. There's still places in the world that teach flat earth today. They were teaching flat earth here in the United States in the early 1900s in public schools.
Yes.
But they removed that, and why? So the bottom line is why? Because on a flat earth, you cannot deny creation. You have to realize that you are at the center of creation. So there are no atheist flat earthers. Now, everybody could argue all day long or have their own personal relationship with the creator, but you can't deny creation. They want you in a world of fear, false evidence appearing real, FEAR. And that if you live in fear, that's how they can control you. If you live in a world of lack and danger.
Let me add something, Dave. Jack, is my mic? There we go. Let me add, this is what and this is one of the reasons I really got into flat Earth was with our conventional history. You had a bunch of Europeans that were under the rule of the banks and the European monarchs, and lo and behold, here's this new world, and suddenly a man can find his fortune if he wants to put his feet and hands in the ground and build it himself. I mean, that's the idea of the conventional history. So with a flat Earth map, and you have the ice ring, which is Antarctica all around, and this is where Admiral Byrd comes in. He said, "Look, I went down there, and there's continents down there. There's extra terrain, and that's where extraterrestrials could be." And to me, the system is very tightly controlled. And if we were to find something else, whole continents of areas that we can go and escape this system, they no longer have control. Suddenly, there's a competition for their system, Dave. I wanted to answer that as part of the texter's question, Dave.
Yeah, there's a great book called The Iron Republic about a politician that got tired of what was going on here, sold everything, bought a big ship, went to Antarctica, ended up going through like an opening, popped out into the ocean again. The stars were all different. He was lost for 3 months, finally saw land, saw a city, and it was a whole nother civilization on the other side of Antarctica. And he lived there for 10 years. He came back, and he told his story when he landed in Florida. And you can take it for what it's worth. It matter whether it's true or not. I believe it sounds true to me. They were talking about more land beyond Antarctica in the late 1800s. So,
Excellent.
Again, everything we're taught is a lie.
Dave, we're hitting the break. We're hitting the break. I'm going to see if I can get Mike in. We may have to hold him over. Mike, we're going to hit the over-the-hour break. Go ahead, man.
All right, a few quick things. First, there's a book called The Electric Sky, and that guy really describes about how the sun is solar. I mean, it's electric thing.
Hang on through the break, all right?
All right.
Stay with us. Rhonda, I saw that you just dropped off. Rhonda, if you come back after the break, we'll put you on 877-536-1360. We're live on Rumble.com at the Half Empty Cup of Joe. Call or text. We got Flat Earth Dave for the balance of the show.
Do something. friend of mine once told me to do a search online. Search for photos of Earth, he said. This will blow your mind. So I opened up the Google and I looked for photos of Earth. Well, a lot of photos came up. He said, click on the first. He said, that's the famous blue marble that everybody's seen. We've seen this photo 1,000 times upon our TV screen. Well, let me tell you something about that famous shot. It's not a photo at all, man. It was made in Photoshop, cause there ain't no photographs, but somebody tell me why. They're all just Photoshop cartoons, they're all just CGI. No photographic proof of a clone, no, none at all. Why the hell can no one take a photo of this ball? He was goddamn right. Well, that shit did blow my mind. Because I thought the blue marble was a photo all this time. Well, don't you think that's strange? He said suspiciously. Now, the fact that it ain't a photo seems pretty weird to me. I mean, the most important photo that man could ever take? This huge, iconic image turns out to be a fake? Well, I couldn't quite believe it, man. I was pretty shocked. I needed further proof that this photo's photoshopped. He said, look up Robert Simon. He made that cartoon ball. He's the guy you should research. He works for NASA and all. He openly admits that it's all just artistry. He said, and I quote, it's photoshopped, but it has to be. There ain't no photographs, but somebody tell me why. They're all just Photoshop cartoons, they're all just CGI. No photographic proof of a clone, no, none at all. Why the hell can no one take a photo of this ball? Yep, every photo of the Earth is artist trickery. All the photos on Google, man, are as fake can be. Download all the photos and put them side by side. Compare all the continents. They're each a different size. Compare all the colors, each globe a different shade. If all of these were photos, man, they should look the damn same. Where's the continuity? There's none. No, none at all. All that NASA gives us is a bunch of cartoon balls, cause there ain't no photographs, but somebody tell me why. They're all just Photoshop cartoons, they're all just CGI. No photographic proof of a clone, no, none at all. Why the hell can no one take a photo of this ball? Now we're supposed to have this telescope, right, that's flying past the stars, taking beautiful photos of Jupiter and Mars. Well, I've got a small suggestion, NASA. Here's something you could do. Point that thing at planet Earth and take a shot or two, because there should be goddamn thousands of photos of where we live. But Hubble ain't taken one. That's suspicious, don't you think? We got all these fancy pictures of spinning galaxies, but not one goddamn photo of the Earth for us to see. Cause there ain't no photographs, but somebody tell me why. They're all just Photoshop cartoons, they're all just CGI. No photographic proof of a clone, no, none at all. Why the hell can no one take a photo of this ball? There ain't no photographs, but somebody tell me why. They're all just Photoshop cartoons, they're all just CGI. No photographic proof of a clone, no, none at all. Why the hell can no one take a photo of this ball?
This is your half-empty cup of joe. This show is hosted by Joe Jaquint and Jason Walker. Because half a cup is better than no cup.
We're back. The half-empty cup, Joe and Jason, along with Flat Earth Dave. The Bible said the earth is God's footstool. Never seen a ball as a footstool. Why would I live in fear of flat earth? And I think very interesting the explanation that Dave gave. That is probably the first one that, for me, gives me a little more credibility. This is more of a God thing, or we don't want people to believe in God in creation, and this is why they're going to this globe model. That is something in my mind that would make sense, because I know that, let's face it, this is something that they've been trying to do forever, right? Take religion out of everything, and so that's a possibility. It may not be that they want you to be in fear. It may just simply be, hey, this doesn't fit, there is no God model, so we've got to make it fit. There's no God model. But it's an interesting debate. Did the Georgia Guidestones really have a tiny hole that you could see Polaris through every day of the year, thus proving we aren't spinning in multiple directions faster than a speeding bullet? Dave, I don't know if you know that answer.
All right. I do know that answer, and that's actually something I'm going to let you guys in on an exclusive about that. But real quick, but what you said about not being in fear, if you're in fear, that's how they can control you. And they want to be above you and above God. Nobody's above you. Only God's above you. So they need to remove God. Wait, don't we have a caller on the line now that started asking a question?
Yeah, we have Mike, and we'll get to the Georgia Guidestones. Mike, go ahead and continue, man. We got cut off.
Yeah, no problem. I was just going to say the book Electric Sky gives a great definition of how the sun is electric. Also, sorry.
No, go ahead, Mike.
No, go ahead. I just said, yeah, I was agreeing.
Oh, okay. Also, at the Natural History Museum, they used to have this clock pendulum that, even though it swung straight over the course of 24 hours, it would make a complete circle and knock down all the little pegs. And I never really understood how that happened. Also, there's the thing, the ice wall guardians, which seems pretty interesting to me. And then lastly, what about the magnetic polar shifts? How does your flat Earth and magnetic polar shift coincide?
All right, so you're talking about Foucault's pendulum, which they're all pretty much shut down now. They don't just swing on their own due to Earth's rotation. There's actually a little motor in them that they don't tell you about, and they process. Sometimes they start it and it starts swinging in the wrong direction, completely ruling out Coriolis force as the reason. So there's a whole section on the FAQ page of my app about pendulums. So go there. There's a whole bunch of videos showing you how ridiculous they are. And the second part of your question was, what was the last part?
Guardians and magnetic pole shift.
Oh, the magnetic pole shift. I believe that our pole is shifting. It makes a big circle, 26,000 years around the great center. And so it is moving, but we don't have a flip where all of a sudden north is south and south is north. But I do believe we have a polarity shift, which means right now we're in a negative polarity, and the negative ones are in power, and we're switching to a positive polarity time, and where the negative ones are going to lose power and the positive ones are gaining power. So this is an amazing time to be alive. Georgia Guidestones. So you're aware that the Georgia Guidestones had a little hole in them that you could see Polaris through, right?
Yes,
right?
I'm not. We're not completely up to date. I remember hearing that, but go ahead and tell the audience.
Georgia Guidestones they're kind of like Stonehenge, but in Georgia, and you look through and you could see Polaris. Now, imagine you had a pipe that you lined up with Polaris, and it was on your car, and your car started driving down the road and took a slight right-hand turn. Polaris is no longer going to be in that pipe. Well, our Earth is not only corkscrewing through space, it's wobbling, so that would be like the right-hand turn your car's taking. taking, Polaris should not stay in there. So how fast does the Earth wobble? They say 1 degree every 76 years. Okay, that doesn't sound like a lot, but 1 degree is equal to 4 full moons three full moons side by side. So Georgia Guidestones were built in 1981. They were up for over 40 years. That means it's over a half a degree, which is 1.5 moon widths. You would not be able to see Polaris. But we went there and we saw it, and the stars make full circles around it, and it was right in the center of that hole, making its little circle that Polaris makes. So we started making videos about that. They started going viral, and guess what happened?
It blew up.
A terrorist blew up the Georgia Guidestones. Within 3 hours, bulldozers were there, knocked the whole thing down, stole the time capsule, and there was no investigation. So I may be personally responsible for the destruction of the Georgia Guidestones. There's your exclusive.
There you go. Oh.
See, Joe, look.
You heard it here on Half Cup of Joe.
Half Empty Cup of Joe.
Right,
Here you go.
right. Now we know what happened to the Georgia Guidestones. It was Flat Earth Dave's fault they got blown up.
They got
It
mad.
was my fault. It wasn't me.
Dave was,
It wasn't me,
Dave
but
was
it was my
looking
fault.
through the peephole, and they didn't want him looking through the peephole, and so they had to take the whole bathroom out. No
here's
porkies.
the thing.
You can't be looking at the girls' locker room. We got to get rid of it.
Guidestones. Real quick, the pyramids in the Giza pyramid has a shaft that looks at Polaris, but the argument there is, well, when they built it, it was looking at Thuban, but now 2,000 years later, it's looking at Polaris just by coincidence. You can't argue with people that don't want to learn. But the Georgia Guidestones, we know when it was built, we know that it lined up, and we know that it was still lined up. So that was rock solid evidence, pun intended, and they had to take it down, and they did. By the way, that song you played was by Conspiracy Music Guru. There Ain't No Photographs of Earth. That guy has amazing flat earth songs, conspiracymusicguru.com, and I'm actually going to visit him with a whole bunch of other people in Spain this fall.
Oh, man, that sounds like a lot of fun, man. Sounds like a lot of fun.
Wow.
Look,
Yeah.
let's try to get Rhonda started on her call because she's been patiently waiting. Anyone else wants to call in? The call lines are getting open here, 877-536-1360. Call or text. Ron, to get started, if we get cut off, we'll bring you on the other side. Go ahead.
Hi, Dave. Yesterday, I listened to your YouTube channel on Ruth, the 104-year-old woman. You made her cry with the truth.
She
and
made
I
me
want to
cry.
thank you.
Let's hold this over. Rhonda, hang on. Let's get this story about Ruth on the other side. That's Flat Earth Dave. Ron just called in. You're listening to Half Empty Cup of Joe. We'll be right back. Our people, we had 6 people viewing at rumble.com. We're going to build this thing up to where we're going to get hundreds of people live streaming the Half Empty Cup of Joe. If you want to go there and watch, we don't have Dave's picture yet. I'll talk with Dave in the future about maybe trying to get him on live here. It's a little complicated. Joe's able to do it. But you can go to rumble.com and stream us at the Half Empty Cup of Joe, and we're live streaming. We're going to try to do it every day. But man, we had 6 viewers. Our people are starting to watch the shows, and we're going to have more and more of you guys out there looking at the shows. When we left the break, Rhonda had a story about Ruth talking about Flat Earth Dave. Rhonda, you're on again. Dave, go ahead, Rhonda. Reset the table for the story, and then you and Dave talk.
Well, Ruth was 104 years old when she passed away in, 2022, and she was taught the flat Earth theory in school, and she believed it. And the lies came around, and she was told it wasn't true. And when you told her that she was right on with the flat Earth, she cried in happiness.
Yeah, that video went kind of super viral. It got uploaded to thousands of channels, and it went everywhere. The thing was, were you finished?
Yes.
I was actually visiting my mother, who was living in a retirement facility, and my mom was taking a nap. She was 94, and I asked the nurse, "Is there anyone over 100 that has their wits?" And they're like, "Oh, right there. There's Ruth sitting by herself in the lunchroom." And so I went over. I started talking to her, and I was interviewing her about the World's Fairs because she had. That's what I was investigating at the time. And then I asked her just off the cuff. I said, "What did they teach you about the Earth?" And I never mentioned flat Earth, and she said they taught me the Earth was flat. But they changed it after a while. When I told her that it was flat and God created us and everything, she started crying. It was an emotional video, and it went super viral. But she died 2 years later, and I uploaded that video yesterday because a lot of people have been asking me, "Hey, is Ruth still around?" She'd be 106, 107 today. So, yeah, it's a great video.
Well, and the other point I wanted to make in 2 Thessalonians 2, it talks about the lie, and it's just a singular lie, and I believe that lie is the flat Earth lie, and I believe
the globe lie. The globe lie,
yes,
you mean?
The globe lie, and
yes.
I think if this lie was blown up, the globe lie, everything else would fall in place.
That's why I dedicated my life to this. I used to have a podcast called Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole where we looked into all the conspiracies, and I had a thing called Exposing the Big Three, because the Big Three, I'll tell you what they are in a second, I figured once you see that, you'll see everything. And the Big Three are 9/11, Boston bombing, and Sandy Hook, right? And the evidence behind them is undeniable, but people went right back to sleep. But then when I discovered flat Earth, reluctantly, I literally rejected people. I said, "You're an idiot. I'm not looking into that. You're dumb. Flat Earth. Of course the Earth is a globe." But then I was forced to look by my friend Sophia Smallstorm, another researcher, and I tried to debunk it. I went in with a closed mind. I'm going to prove the flat Earth is stupid. And here I am, Flat Earth Dave, flatearthdave.com. And this is the one that wakes everyone up. Once you go flat, you can't globe back.
I love that. Well, thanks for your good work. You're waking a lot of people up.
Nice to meet you.
All right, thank you, Rhonda. 877-536-1360 is the caller text line. Jack's got a chat he's going to put on screen. We're checking another caller here. Ask Dave about the Antikythera mechanism, the Astrolabe,
the Antikythera mechanism, archaeoastrology, and the astrolabe.
Yes, the astrological clock in Prague and the geocentric cosmology is true.
Yeah, that's a lot to answer on a radio show in a short period, but they all prove flat Earth. Let's just stick with archaeology. There's over time, over thousands of years, all these different structures from pyramids to buildings that have little holes in them, and the sun lines up with them perfectly now during our lives. It lines up perfectly. So you'd have to believe that all of these builders of these things that were building them hundreds and thousands of years ago were building them to say, hey, we're going to build it. It's not going to line up with the sun now. It's going to line up in the 2020s. And they all built it at these different times so it would work now instead of back then. That's what you have to believe if you believe the Earth is tilting, wobbling, and that they were able to figure out that it would line up now. Or perhaps they built it to line up with the sun, and it still lines up with the sun, because the Earth is not moving. Which one of those is absolutely insane, and which one of those makes perfect sense?
Dave, let me jump in here. This is what's great about live stream podcasting and having the radio station. We have the live call-in line. So the guy that posed it on our live stream here on Rumble, which you can go to, Half Empty Cup of Joe, you can live stream the show. Keith now called in. So Keith, you're the one that gave us the question on the live stream. Go ahead. Did you have anything to add to that?
Hey, aloha, Dave. How you doing, bro?
Hey, aloha, Keith. How you doing?
Good. I just thought these 4 points are kind of my talking points lately as I'm writing this book. But the Antikythera mechanism for you guys, do you guys have any clue what that is, or you want me to just share it real quick?
Share it real quick.
Okay, so it's allegedly the world's first analog computer found in a shipwreck about 120 years ago. And then in the 1950s, different universities and professors started studying it. They date the shipwreck to about 2,000 years ago and say that it came from the Greeks. So what the Antikythera mechanism is this little shoebox analog computer full of these bronze gears, extremely intricate. And what it shows is the perfect repeating cycles of the sun, the moon, the planets, and the fixed constellations over our flat and stationary surface and around our magnetic center. So we were in a documentary about this, but it's not just the Antikythera mechanism. As amazing as that is, and the world of academia just wants to focus on the hardware. Say, how did Greeks know how to do this? Clockwork devices, they didn't come into existence until the 1400s. How did the Greeks do this? And, of course, they want to speculate maybe aliens helped them or something stupid.
So, Keith, really quick, Keith, Joe and I, the Half Empty Cup of Joe, we had a guest named Scott that came in. He was doing the false histories, the mud floods, the cities that were built, something that Dave was getting into. And Scott brought this. We did a whole show on this exact thing you're talking about. Scott had all the facts. It had more of the backstory of where they pulled it up and the whole, I guess you would say fear and paranoia around the whole device, Keith.
Yeah, Keith was in a film, The Mechanical Realm. Keith was in a film called The Mechanical Realm, all about Antikythera mechanism, and you can find it on FlatEarthDave.com under the Crash Course. Watch that film with a keen eye, and you too will understand that we live on a flat, level, stationary topographical plane. Go ahead, Keith.
Yeah, I was going to say the world of academia is just always wants to focus on the hardware, but the real power of the Antikythera is the software. That's the knowledge of the luminaries and how they move and how they're still moving today in perfect clockwork cycles over our heads. And that was most likely figured out by the Babylonians or Sumerians at least 5,000 years ago. So the hardware of the Antikythera is one thing, but the software or the knowledge that went into it is truly amazing. But it's not something you have to believe, Dave. You don't have to believe me. You can go out and confirm the same cosmology yourself just by paying more attention to the motions of the sun and the moon, the planets and the stars over our head. They're making the same patterns now as they were 5,000 years ago.
Go ahead, awesome. Dave.
No, that's it. What he's saying, here's the thing. You can lead a man to knowledge, but you can't make him think. And it's easy to believe. You guys can believe whatever you want. It takes no effort. It takes no time. And you can go take a nap. But if you want to know something, you can go, you have to take the time to look. And we've laid out all the information for you. Go ahead, Joe.
So really quickly, so the fact that they're in these same patterns today that they were thousands of years ago, does that is disproving what the wobble of the Earth, if you will, right? They should be in a different location now than they were hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago. Is that kind of what you guys were saying?
Joe, the Earth is orbiting and spiraling through space in 4 different directions at once at speeds that you can't imagine. They tell us 80% of the stars in our galaxy are binary, which means they're orbiting around each other. Some are trinary, which are orbiting 3 stars going in all different directions. So if I put a camera right next to a beehive and I threw a rock in that beehive and all the bees went out in every direction and I took a quick picture, how long would the bees stay in that same configuration? Because that's how, but the stars are the bees. And how is that possible unless they're fixed in their position?
Our solar system, Dave, how fast is they say our solar system is moving in one direction, which to me that proves that the stars would be moving, and we have different star pictures after days or weeks.
We're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, we're orbiting at 66,000 miles an hour, and we're chasing the sun at 500,000 miles per hour, and the entire galaxy is moving sideways at over 2 million miles per hour, right? And nothing ever changes.
And remember, for those listening, that's the globe model's numbers. This is the numbers they use to prove their model. That all these things are moving, but the stars, for thousands of years, a man walking the Earth 2,000 years ago at the time of Christ, is looking up at the same stars, right, Dave?
Right. And, the only thing that changes is the wandering stars, which they now call planets. And now some globe, apologists or anti-flat earthers will say, well, this one star moved over the last, 50 years. maybe 1 or 2 stars move, but they'd all have to move. Maybe those are wandering stars that haven't been pointed out to us. Maybe those are something else. The only thing we could say about the luminaries in the sky is that they're luminaries. They're lights in the sky. We can't make any positive claims about them like the globe people do. Well, and the globe people's claims violate natural law.
And you brought this up, Dave, because we have these lit up things that move, the what we call the planets. And are those moving stars? Explain that, because that's one thing we haven't got a question on. Is like, well, those are something that's moving up there. Those are in different positions. What are the planets on a flat Earth idea?
Keith, what do you say? What are the planets, if you had to say?
Well, I would say they're luminaries, and the planets, the known planets, are all on their individual circuits, and they make like a spirograph pattern around the magnetic center. And if you check out the Vedic, sorry, a loud car. If you check out the Vedic cosmology, that's probably the most ancient cosmology and probably the most accurate. But they show these beautiful spirograph patterns made by the planets, which is where we get those retrograde motions. But everything, the sun, the moon, the planets, and the fixed constellations all move around the magnetic center over our flat Earth. We don't have a solar system. We have an Earth system. The solar system, as we were taught it in school, is literally a scientific absurdity. If we weren't taught to believe that the sun is huge and far away, we would go outside and look up and say, yeah, the sun and moon are just about the same size and altitude, which they are in reality. But we're told to believe that an accidental explosion created a huge sun 400 times away, or a lot farther away, and 400 times larger than the moon, exactly, precisely, perfectly, accidentally, and we have to believe that. So for me, it requires an enormous amount of blind faith to believe what the solar system teaches kids in 2nd and 3rd grade versus what I can go out and confirm for myself by watching the luminaries, which I do almost every night on a clear night. So, like I said, flat Earth is pretty easy to prove. For a lot of people, it's really hard to accept because they've never really questioned it. They were taught to believe it as true, but they've never really questioned it. But once you do, it starts to fall apart pretty fast.
Thank you for the call, Keith. We're hitting our halftime break here on the hour 2. We got Flat Earth Dave, 877-536-1360. Call or text. Joe's got some text. We're going to come in. We're going to come right in with some text on the other side of the break. You're listening to the Half Empty Cup of Joe.
We're back here, the half-empty cup, Joe and Jason, along with our guest, Flat Earth Dave. We'll get out to the text line really quickly. Flat Earth Dave does the community a disservice with all these fantasies of other worlds beyond us. God created the space we know, nothing beyond. To say otherwise refutes God's word. So, Dave, somebody taking.
No, let me address that. I understand where they're coming from. God created the firmament. Here's the question. 60 degrees south is as far as we're allowed to go. Who's to say that firmament doesn't come down 1,000,000 miles south of that? Right. Well, that leaves a lot of extra space. And also, whenever I talk about more lands beyond the shoreline where we're allowed to go, the shoreline of our world pond, I say, this is speculation. We do not need to speculate to prove the Earth is flat. We can do that from the place that we are at. So when they say I do a disservice, I would say there's a very large percentage of people that understand the Earth is flat, and they got to it by the curiosity of more land. I can't make a solid claim that there's more land out there, but they found 7,000 new islands near Japan last year.
Didn't they already? Wait a minute, but Japan. Dave, didn't they already find more land? Isn't that what they called the New World?
They already did.
The New World.
Admiral Byrd said there's land bigger than the United States on the other side of the South Pole. Where is that? So the question is, what's beyond the shoreline of Antarctica? Maybe there's more land, but it is super biblical. There's nothing not biblical about it, but I make no claims because I don't need to. Earth is measurably flat from our backyards.
Joe, what's the next one?
All right, moving on. I appreciate that answer. The Hubble, the telescope, recently took a photo of a gallant 13 billion light years away. Can Dave explain that?
So imagine if you had a telescope and you tried to zoom in on a building, somebody in a window in a building 10 miles away, and you couldn't really see them, but you could zoom to somebody a mile away. So the moon is 237,000 miles away, right? So think about this. 1 light year is 5.8 trillion miles. Well, what is that? That is 24.8 million times farther than the moon. 1 light year is 24.8, we'll call it 25 million times farther than the moon. And they want us to believe that we could see something 13.4 billion light years away. So remember the number. 5.8 trillion miles is 25 million times farther than the moon. Times that number by 13.4 billion. Not 2, not times 10, not times 100, not times a million, times 13.4 billion. They want us to believe that we can see something that far away, but we can't zoom in on the moon lander? Are you kidding me? That's the dumbest thing ever. And people just believe it. Oh, well, NASA said it, 13.4 billion light years away. 13.4 billion, 5.8 trillion miles times 13.4 billion. You can't fathom what 5.8 trillion times 2 is.
It's a technology, Joe. It's essentially what Dave is saying.
Yep.
It's a technology that doesn't exist. So it's a CGI picture. That's what they're giving us from Hubble.
It's garbage. You couldn't see, light couldn't travel that way. It would be dim. There's scientifically provable that the light could not travel and be visible.
Computer-generated image, right, Dave? That's all these pictures are.
Think about this. On Earth, when they have those observatories like in the mountains in Hawaii, taking a long-range photograph, a long, exposure photograph, like 10 hours of a distant galaxy, the operator has to walk around the cement pad with socks on because any vibration will ruin the image. What about the Earth's spin? What about the Earth's orbit? How is Hubble falling around the Earth at 17,500 miles an hour, going to take a steady picture of something that far away? It's all so stupid that people just accept it because they don't want to think about it. It's easier to believe than to know and understand.
Joe, let's go to the next text.
Okay, now this is one that you know what? When Dave was talking about, I had this same thought. Are the people who live in the other world beyond Antarctica forbidden from crossing over the ice barrier into our world, right? So is it a two-way street here, right? We're forbidden,
I have three answers. Yeah, 3 answers for that. How would we know? There's answer number 1. Answer number 2, the story from the Iron Republic is the people that are out there were here, but in the 1600s they said that there was too much tyranny here, and they left and started their own world, their own society, and they're like, why would we go back? Why would we communicate with you? And then the third answer is we've had military whistleblowers that work in Antarctica. The guy was 94 years old, and he said he's under a non-disclosure until he's 100 years old. Great. That's going to work out well for us. And he said, what I can tell you is that there's cities of millions of people in Antarctica that are not allowed to communicate with us. Now, that's not speculating about more land outside of a dome or anything like that. It's a military whistleblower saying that there's cities of millions of people in Antarctica that are not allowed to communicate with us. Interesting. I don't have any firsthand knowledge of it, but the amount of information, the amount of evidence that there is more land is overwhelming at this point.
Joe, have Dave explain Marconi. Pierre Lagina had a scientific device that proved the Earth doesn't move, and that they would say terra firma.
I'm not sure what isn't Marconi the guy that did the radio transmission across from Europe to the United States? They said it wouldn't work, but it worked. There's a on that same note, there's a thing called the LoRa system, LORA, and it went from a tower on a small boat to a buoy 800 miles away. Now that's line of sight microwave transmission. It was like 900 megahertz. Now, at 10 miles, it shouldn't be able to make that transmission because the Earth curve would get in the way. At 800 miles, there's I don't know. The curvature is ridiculous. It's hundreds of miles of curvature, I think. And it was able to make that transmission, and they claim, well, it's bouncing off the ionosphere. Well, at 900 megahertz, they say that 900 megahertz doesn't bounce. It would go right through the ionosphere. So they just make up stories, but their stories come back to bite them in the butt.
Got another one, Joe?
I love it.
Sneak another one in.
Yeah, I got two more here. Stars in the northern hemisphere move counterclockwise in time-lapse photography and clockwise in the southern hemisphere. How can stars move in two different directions on a flat world? P.S. Love the Chat GPT videos on your channel.
I'll answer that when we come back from break if we have time.
Oh, yeah, we have two more segments, Dave. We'll get into this on the other side. You're listening to Half Empty Cup of Joe. Got 11 people streaming us live now. We've doubled our audience.
We're shattering records. 1360 KHNC is...
A lot of people poke fun, and that's all right. But when I start poking back, they get all uptight. You can't cap with the master, son. So sit your ass down for a blast you won. 'Cause I'm so greasy, you can call me mud. And I feel a little Hank running through my blood. I want to flood the world with my twisted thoughts. You can bet all day, but I can't be bought. Break it up, let's tie one on. I gotta get set to go and cut the lawn.
Welcome back to the Half Empty Cup of Joe. Joe and Jason here with Flat Earth Dave. Joe is taking a phone call. But, Dave, quickly, I have something I want to ask you, but obviously let's go into that little criticism we got from the texter.
Remind me.
Is talking about your vids are all just and the stars spinning in different directions from the different
stars
sides,
spinning in different directions. Yeah. So think about this. On a flat Earth, we have the stars rotating. Now, I personally think that there's only northern stars, and that the southern stars are a reflection of that spinning northern star, and the North Pole, the pole star, is as far as we can see south from where we live. But that's one thing. But if you think about it, all the stars, sun, moon, and wandering stars, a.k.a. planets, all rise in the east and set in the west. So if you're in the south, looking south, the stars are coming from your left shoulder to your right shoulder, so they're going clockwise. Turn around, same position, look to the north. You're now watching the stars go from your right shoulder to your left shoulder counterclockwise. Clockwise and counterclockwise are apparent directions depending on the way that you're facing. It perfectly works on a flat Earth.
There you go. Joe, before this last text, I want to ask, as Jack is our board operator, and with the extra layers of the podcasting, where the live streaming, it's been he's really good at what he does. So he's always looking up information. You know, you're the guest today, and he came across a video that I watched some time ago. Just to know how dedicated Dave is to what he's doing. This is about 3 years ago, Dave. You went into the fire when Brian came on earlier and was doubting you earlier. Brian's our liberal guy. He's our guy that comes in and doubts some of this conspiracy stuff we talk about. But you went on the show, Professor Dave Farina, about 3 years ago. Guy who just treated you horribly. Guy would talk over you, just wouldn't let you, because he didn't want to hear it. It was hurting him. You can see it. Yep. So all he did was scream and holler so that you couldn't talk. Talk about going in the lion's den on some of these shows.
Well, the first thing is I was very naive when I went on that show. I went on it thinking that he just didn't know. But then I found out he's a propped up shill for the globalists. His videos are number one on Google, on YouTube, whenever you search for Flat Earth. But he made no points. The only thing they have on that are, like Dave said, spectroscopy, the study of gases at a distance, needs a container. Well, guess what? You need a container if you have gas, right? And that's all I said. So they got nothing, but the way he talks so confident, and his name is Professor Dave. And by the way, he said it himself. He's not a professor. He just thought that was a cool YouTube name. He's actually a college dropout and a failed musician. So there are no points that he made. But the beautiful thing about that being pushed by Google is and I still to this very day, I get emails from so many globe believers that are just, lost. They're like, hey, I think Flat Earth is stupid, but the way he treated you was, that's not fair. That wasn't good. And I'm like, well, thanks for the email. Here, watch these videos and I'll send them them my crash course list. I say, watch these videos. So now I have a direct line to these doubters that would never look. They were kind of like me. I don't want to look. And then a couple of days later, they email me back. They're like, holy moly, this is real?
Jack,
and then they become
when Jack
flat
pulled the
earthers.
video up, Jack's like, "Who? This guy's a real a-hole. He wouldn't even let Dave talk." I was like, "Yeah,
yeah."
Dave's
and
been
he
out
made
there.
no points other than make faces and ad homs. There's a channel called Mind Shock, which is this professor of logic and reason, and he went through that video and did a counter on ad homs and fallacies. And Dave broke the record. He had over 170 or something by the end, and I think I had like 2.
Oh boy. Well, there you go. I just wanted to bring it up there because Jack does he does a lot of work behind the scenes for us. It's making these shows better and better.
Let me throw something. Anyone that's listening that thinks this is slightly interesting, slightly interesting at all, go to my website, flatearthdave.com. Get my app. It's $3. But if you don't want to get the app, just go to the crash course and we'll turn off Netflix for a week. Actually, turn it off forever. And watch those videos. And it is scientifically impossible. There's scientifically impossible to go through 3 or 5 of those videos and not reject the globe.
We got the QR code. We got the website up on screen on the YouTube or the Rumble channel. Dave, real quick. One of the things that really makes me understand, it's fun. It's always fun when you got something in your hands you can do. And one thing I always show people that just twist their mind backward is I take an infrared thermometer on a moonlit night, and I say, look, how do you explain this? This is the one that nobody explains this. Nobody even wants to try to explain this. When it's right there in front of you.
Claim it's not true.
And when the thermostat works inside, you're taking the temperature of your forehead, you're taking the temperature of the ground, and on a moonlit night, you get a shaded area versus a moonlit area. If the globe Earth is right, if their model is correct, then the moon has reflected sunlight, and that can only give us, if there's going to be any temperature difference, it can only give us a warmer space. Like when the sun hits the ground, it's hotter, you get in the shade, you cool off. But on a moonlit night, which is reflected sunlight, you put the thermometer onto the moonlit area, let's say it's 60 degrees, you move the infrared thermometer into the same type of surface with a shadow, and it gets hotter. It's hotter in the shade. It's reflecting a cold energy, Dave. Can you explain that for the audience?
It's reflecting a cold energy, and the globers will say, oh, it's not true. There's no such thing as cold light. But then lucky for us, that when we first discovered that, there's a channel, not a flat earth channel, Cody's Action Lab, and he showed us a cold laser where you can make things cold with a light beam. So it is some sort of cold energy.
Isn't plasma energy can be a cold energy plasma?
Yeah, I guess so. I'm not an expert on that, but I have taken moonlight on a clear moonlight night and take a magnifying glass and focus it like you focus the sun, and it gets really cold.
Can you freeze something, or how cold does it get?
I don't think it freezes, like 10 degrees. It gets colder. Yeah.
Now I got to get a magnifying glass into my deal here and and add that.
Yeah.
Joe, go ahead, man. We got another text.
Yeah, so really quick as we're winding down here, we got one final segment coming up. How do the phases of the moon work? Also, would there be another sun on the other side of the Antarctic? Something that Dave can answer on the other side of the break. Final segment of the Half Empty Cup. Stay with us.
Just want to say that I told you so. 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 Yeah. But you didn't listen. I told you so.
We're back here, the final segment. Joe and Jason, we got Flat Earth Dave, flatearthdave.com. Guys, get his app. It's $3. I mean, listen, just in the 2 hours Dave was here with us today, that was way more than $3 worth of entertainment. I mean, think about what you pay to go to these crappy movies nowadays. Get out there, throw them the $3, check out the app, educate yourself. But Dave, really quickly, someone was asking about the phases of the moon, and would there be another sun on the other side of the Antarctic?
I don't know about the sun on the other side of the Antarctic. If there was more ponds out there, then maybe there would be another sun out there. Maybe it's the same sun. We just see it in a different apparent position. There's all sorts of models that are possible. But as I said earlier, the heliocentric sun defies natural law and is impossible. So I don't know why we're talking about space. The other thing is, what was the first part of the question? Is there another sun? And what was the first part of the question, Joe?
The first, yeah. So the first part of the question was, let me just get it up. The phases of the moon. How do they
the phases of the moon. So the phases of the moon are correlated to the sun, but there is a week out of each month where the lit part of the moon doesn't face the right direction towards the sun, which is interesting. I believe there is a correlation, but I don't believe the moon is reflecting sunlight. I believe the moon is its own light, as it says in the Bible, but it appears to be its own light. And I think that the sun and the moon are connected, and maybe it's the electricity from the sun that is lighting up the moon. There is a correlation, but when there's a full moon, if the sun was lighting it up, there would be a hot spot and it would get faded to the edges, but it's not. It's a light. And check this out. Go on a full moon night and look up, and if there's like little clouds in the sky, you'll see that only the clouds near it are lit up. The other ones off to the side are not.
That's right.
If the moon was 250,000 miles away, it would light them all up, but it's only lighting up the ones right near it.
And so, Dave,
again,
one video that you've probably seen this before, but there's a black and white video from the 1950s. Maybe
the scientists talk about the moon being a plasma.
Yeah, the scientists, and it was multiple scientists back then. They said, "Look, this whole thing going to the moon is ridiculous. We're not going to the moon. You can't land on the moon. The moon is plasma energy. You will not be landing on plasma energy." And Dave is exactly right. Just even with the sun, when the sun goes through the clouds, Dave, you see the sun, and the light beams are going in different directions. If it's so many billions of miles away, it should be coming straight at us.
100%. The crepuscular rays, they spread out, and it proves that the sun that we see is local. And some people say the sun is right in the clouds. I think on certain days, from your vantage point, depending on the atmospheric conditions, you may see the sun in the clouds. It's not physically in the clouds. I believe the real sun is above or in the firmament above us, right? People go, well, God said the sun is in the firmament. Well, when you put your milk in the refrigerator, you put it in the refrigerator or you put it under the refrigerator, right?
Right.
So think of your refrigerator as the firmament, and we live under the refrigerator. So that's where I think the real source is. And, the sun could be the light of God. I don't know. I could speculate all day long, though. FlatEarthDave.com. Check out my app. Check out everything. Don't believe anything I say. Verify everything.
All right, Joe. There we go. Take us out.
Hey, thank you so much, Dave. Always great having you. Can't wait to have you back again. God bless everybody. Jason and I, we're going to wrap up this week tomorrow. Take care.
Stop it, do something.
The Flat Earth Clock app has a new feature that will be a game changer. Flat Earth proof flashcards are here. Over 200 proofs destroying the globe. Swipe to go to the next card or click the shuffle icon to go to a random card. If you see an info icon on the top, click it to get more information on that specific flat Earth proof. Click the back button to go back to a previous card at any time. The more info icon could be a website, a playlist, a book, or a video. Use the share icon to share cards with others via text, email, airdrop, or any other sharing modality. Update your Flat Earth Clock app today and start increasing your flat Earth knowledge and sharing it with others.